Hey, come on in, and welcome to the Tuesday Tea with me, Christy. I am here to share with you the tea. What does this say? My business. So, gotta get the turn around. It is my business. Now, this is about me minding my business, but I'm going to mind your business in here on the Tuesday Tea. Now, if it's your first time joining me in here, welcome. Definitely go follow me over on YouTube so you can catch up on all of the tea that you have missed. I am here to talk to you today about the book Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. It is an amazing follow-up to the book that we read and I talked about last 5 weeks on the side hustle, which is from idea to income in 27 days, starting a side hustle, which it helps you decide which is a good one for you. And then we're going to take it to the next step. Like, we're done with the side hustle, or we're ready to level up our side hustle. And this is about choosing your enemies wisely, but it's business planning for the audacious few. And I will talk to you in just a minute about how does he define, Pat David, the author of this book, how does he define the audacious few? Meaning this book is not going to be for everybody, right? Now, as you may know, if you've been a follower of me for a while, I'm still an educator, but I was an elementary school educator. Now, you're in here like, do you dress like this all the time? No, I do not. So let's just get that taken care of first. So I am going to I go to my daughter and I, she's 3 years old, and we go to a mom's group once a month. And this is the last mom's group of this year. Before we get out, well, not of this year, but before summer break. And the theme is the Kentucky Derby. So I am dressed in my Kentucky Derby wear. All right. And we'll see how long I keep this on for this live. Maybe the whole time. So if you're a first time in here because you were scrolling through Facebook or YouTube and you saw this and you're like, wait, what's going on here? Then drop a number 3 in the comments. Let me know that you're first time in here and we welcome you. So as a first timer, or for those who've been watching for a while and don't know my background, I was an elementary educator. I was a teacher. Then I was a coach of teachers, and then I was an elementary assistant principal, so a leader of a schoolhouse. And that was in my 20s and 30s. And I became a full-time business owner, which is why I'm so passionate about improving my skills as a full-time business owner, but as well sharing with people my journey. And I do it through reading because I love to read. And so people will ask me so many things, and as I'm reading books, I'd be like, oh, it helps me remember, like, this is the process, or these are the steps I did. And so these are the steps that you can do too. The book will outline for you the exact steps you can take to a side hustle. So in my 20s and 30s as an educator, I really became restless with the constraints of the education system. Come on, who's in here with me who's become restless with something they're doing? Like, you may have been in any career, you may have been doing any job, you may have even had a hobby, you may have gotten restless with your mate. Y'all weren't married, and so you was like moving on to the next, trying something different. But if you've ever been restless with the constraints of something or someone, drop a number 1 in the comments. I want to see who is in here with me and who can relate to who understands what I'm talking about. I was definitely restless with the constraints of the education system for a lot of different ways. Like, even sitting in my office had brick walls, and I had 2 slithers of a window, and it was just so dark and gloomy. It was depressing. Like, I would yearn to be outdoors. Now, I'm not an outdoors person that like, oh, I gotta go outside and do running, jumping, but I do like the sun. It's one of the reasons why I continue to live in the southern part of America, is because it would be cheaper. I've looked into it to buy some land like in the upper west parts of America where there's so much land out there. I could buy so much land, but all I think about is the winters when they're dark and gloomy. I don't like that. I like having sun. Like, even in the wintertime here, we get sun, right? And so I would felt the constraints just of that. Let's just take away the school system itself and the system itself, but just having to be inside of a building all day. And so I would go outside during recess of the elementary kids and of the elementary students just to be outside. Now, teachers thought I was monitoring them, making sure they weren't sitting down or on their cell phones, or actually watching the kids, which is a thing too. But my presence automatically had people doing what they're supposed to do. I was out there like wanting the sun. So there was those constraints. Then there was a constraint of I really didn't feel like I was touching as many lives that I thought. Couldn't be as impactful in one schoolhouse. And the next step is coming out of one schoolhouse and then being a coach of an entire elementary sector, so all the elementary schools in the school system, or being a superintendent. And I would be able to touch more lives, but just be one schoolhouse, one area in one part of America. And it would be even more constraints because I'd have so many things I'd have to do as a part of my, like meet with the politicians in the city that I was in, or that I was a superintendent area responsible for. I had to meet with those and do the face thing, show up in the community and all that kind of stuff, even when I didn't want to. And that was just suffocating to me. And so one of the things, those are some of the things I was looking for. And I decided that I could get that by going full-time in my business. Well, I had to navigate the uncertainty of being in a full-time business role with all responsibilities. Now, as a school, elementary school assistant principal, the responsibility was on me too, but there was a principal that things fell back on. There was a principal to answer to. And there was a schedule that I had to go by. Like I had to be there at a certain time. I had, I didn't have to leave at a certain time. I was even there on the weekends doing testing and things of that nature. But all those things did exist. And I had to navigate through not having that constraint when I was a full-time business owner. So entrepreneurship has been amazing, but it does come with a battlefield of rules that are different, and the stakes are high. What are the high stakes? High stakes are that all the money, all the bills are on me producing in my business, where there might be a week where I showed up to my job every day, but I know I wasn't giving my best. Like I'm just here so I won't get fired. Yeah. Before, please jump a number 4 in the comments if you are like, I am just here so I don't get fired. I don't want to use my time where I'm not sick, so I'm not going to get anybody else sick. I'm not contagious, although my lack of motivation could be contagious. Like it's not one of those things. I'm still going to work. I'm just here so I won't get fired. Well, when you're a full-time business owner and you haven't received or set yourself up for residual income yet, then when you don't feel like it for a whole week, that could really mess up you paying your mortgage. When your team relies on your spirit, a positive spirit, or your motivation, or your the urge and the energy that you bring to the office, if your team relies on that and you don't bring that for a whole week, then that could bring down the morale of your whole office, and that could affect your bottom line. That could affect how you're going to pay them because the money's not coming in. So all those things changes. Then there's the strategic planning and how the strategies that I've honed from the classroom, I was able to use those in my business. Like even now, like the always being a learner, always being preaching to my students that you're a continuous learner, and then living that and assessing opportunities and crafting a vision for success. Like those are all the things that were part of strategic planning that I had to do. I had to do strategic planning in classroom. And even as a coach, I was responsible for doing the planning over the summertime. We would do, these gloves are like about to come off. All right, we're going to set this glove right here for a purpose. The gloves are coming off. All right. And so I had to do strategic planning for my team of teachers for the county. Like I would go for summer meetings and I do strategic planning for the county. And this was the same skill that I had to do in my business. I had to sit down and plan. Now, these are things that are whatever line of career that you're in. So drop in the comments. Let us know what industry you're in. I was in elementary education. What industry are you in? And there's probably things you can think about that you could apply to what you're doing now to any business that you decide to go in. You're going from a side hustle to choosing your enemies wisely, a full-time business owner. Somebody drop the title in the comments for us, for those who come in and like, what book are we reading now? It's an introduction. It's broken down in 5 parts. It's the very first part of this book. So you have time to grab it and catch up with this here. Now, another thing that really was important for me as I was realizing that the transition could be daunting, And I realized it wasn't as daunting for me because I did have fellow entrepreneurs who were there to offer me guidance and support. I actually had someone who came from an education background, elementary education background, just like me, and who had left and became a 6 and 7 figure earner in her business full time in the same industry I was in. And so I was like, listen, there's no reason for me to navigate this by myself and make mistakes myself. Let me ask her some of the mistakes she's made and how has she set up her schedule for success, going from 6 figures to 7 figures full time. How has she done it? So I can take those things and put in place. So it's very important. Now let's jump into this book. That's just a little bit background and things I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about in this introduction of the book and in the first part, which is broken down into multiple chapters. I'm going to touch on you many points made, but I'm going to touch on you from going from a side hustle to a true business plan. All right. Drop a number 4 in the comments if you've ever written a business plan. Let's see who's in the building. If you have not written a business plan and you find that your business is not moving in the direction you want to, this book will help you write it. All right. And so we're also going to talk about experience over drive, using your emotions and or logic. We'll find out as we're talking about this. Is it more important to use your emotions in business, more important to use your logic in business, or is it important to have a mix of both? And then embracing your emotions. So that's experience over drive, perception and motivations and fears. Let's get into it. Now, going from a side hustle to a true business plan, who in drop side hustle, if you have a side hustle or if you have had a side hustle. All right, drop side hustle in the comments. A side hustle, we talked about in this last book, that a hobby is just for fun. A side hustle makes you money. So if you're doing something that could be a hobby, but you're actually making money from it, give yourselves a pound of back. You are officially part of the side hustle crew. Now, if you want to go from it just being a side hustle to it being a full-time business, you're going to have to write a business plan. So these are the things I'm going to go to some things he talked about in the introduction that really stood out to me that I underlined. So, and I don't know how to read what are these Greek numbers or whatever these numbers are called. It's X1I, it's XIII on page XI. What page number is that for those of you who know? I can never remember what the X is. The I is 111, right? 1, 2, 3. Is the X 5? I don't know, child. But here it is. One of the things that said when he made a decision to bet on himself, the first thing he did was dropped bad habits. Ooh, the tea. Let me drink my tea. I haven't drunk any tea. I just been here telling you my backstory and all these great things and how it led to being part of the audacious few. But the tea this morning, and it's piping hot. Yeah, that's how I sip that. Let me try. Piping hot, baby. The tea this morning is dropping bad habits. Who's going to drop that in the comments for us, please? Dropping bad habits. I'm going to tell you, one of the books that we read, I can't wait till I get this wall over here painted. So you guys, my books will be behind me so I can pull out books when I'm referencing them. But I'm looking over here and the book is The 5-Second Rule and Atomic Habits. Those were 2 books that really, I thought my habits were good. And those were 2 books that really helped me with my habits. Like I started getting up earlier in the morning so I can get things done in a quiet house. You know, and sometimes like now, right now, it's not even waking up to get things done. It's just waking up and not being in a rush. Like not being in a rush to jump to what my high school daughter needs before she gets on the bus. And not being in a rush to jump to what my toddler needs. Or not being in a rush to fulfill the needs of my husband and our household. Like I sometimes just wake up, get out the bed, walk into the living room, and just lay on the couch. As I allow my body to wake up in a slow, gradual moment instead of just jumping out the bed and go. Now, before that, my wake up time, which came from the book, The 5-Second Rule, I was waking up at all different times. Like just, I now like, how did I wake up at 8 a.m.? Like that was 3 hours of productivity that I could get things done. Like me saying, I just don't have time to do this report. I just don't have time to send this email. I just don't have waking up 3 hours is plain. And here's the thing. I don't just jump out the bed and be ready. Like that still gives me a 1 hour to like, okay, I'm up at 5 a.m. Lord Jesus, give me strength. And by 6, I got 2 hours to get some things done if I need to, right? That is where that came from. So letting go of bad habits. Did y'all drop that? Let me see, letting go of bad habits. But then he said, Not only did he let go of bad habits, he read some books. He said, all I did was read books on investments, sales, and anything that had to do with business. We've read plenty of books, y'all. If your first time here with me, the one thing you got to get ready. And what I love about this book is in his introduction, he's basically giving you the T for getting your mindset right for creating your business plan, for being a part of the audacious few, for knowing how to choose your enemies wisely. Because the one thing we know for sure is we're going to have enemies. And here's the thing, because somebody might be like, I don't have any enemies. Enemies aren't always people. Sometimes the enemy is a place, a job, a career. Sometimes the enemy is your habits. Sometimes the enemy is your mindset. So we all have enemies out here, okay? And this is choosing them wisely, because we all have a choice. Somebody drop that in the comments. I have a choice, but let's get back here to I page. It says the book that he read that was recommended, that really two of them, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm pretty sure I have that book on my, if it's not out here on this bookshelf, it's definitely inside on the bookshelf. And that is the T. That is how you're going to go to the next level. I agree. That book is a win. Now, another one he said, which I have not read yet, but I'm definitely going to look into it. How to Master the Art of Selling. And here's the thing. Even if you're like, I don't do, for the people who say I don't do sales, you are hitting a ceiling in life. Period. Because the one thing you have to sell something to is do you have children? Please drop a number 6 in the comments if you have kids. A child, at least one. We sell them the idea of things all of the time. What if we could master the art of selling to our child the reason to clean up daily, morning, noon, and night? What if we could sell to our child the importance of education, being the top of the class, putting in more effort than maybe your peers are putting in? Those are all things that require selling to our husband the reason that we should take a family trip now and not next year. Not your husband, just mine. Okay. All these things are sales. So even if you don't want to sell a product, even if you don't want to selling yourself for the promotion you want. Oh, but you don't do sales. Oh, okay. We all do sales, and some of us do it more effectively, which is why they get the positions. It's why they get the promotion. It's why they get the lower interest rate on their house purchase, on their car purchase. It's how they get something removed from their credit report. They are selling themselves. They are selling the situation. We are all salespeople, just some people not good at it. So you should master the art of selling is a book that he puts in here. And I'm not going to labor there too long because I'm feeling a little churchy in here. Let me put these gloves back on. I'm feeling a little churchy in here. All right. So on the next page, XV, what number is that? Drop that in the comments. XV, he says, the question I think you want answered is how. Enemies, the missing element of a standard business plan. Most people love to hear a rags to riches stories. Rag to riches, that was a rap song. There's another group of people who, like you, the audacious few, I'm talking to the audacious few, who want the formula to create your own rags to riches story. If that's you, if you want your own formula to create your rags to riches story, then words like perseverance and heart are great, but they fail to tell you exactly what to do to fulfill your own dream. He says, and he talks about in Side Hustle, something I underlined in here where we learned about this in Side Hustle, is that year after year, reviewing what succeeded and failed. You have to do that. So that's great reminder that the things that we've learned in Side Hustle is true for the choosing your enemies wisely. All right. So then he says here, what will you gain from this book? Oh, here's the tea. This is how you know if you need to go buy this book. What are you going to get from it? He's going to show us in this book, and I will share with you some pointers over the next 4 weeks about how to choose your enemy wisely and leverage that emotion to build the right business plan. Let me tell you what my enemy right now is. My enemy right now is my current financial situation. Like right now, I want to pay off my truck. I have like $9,000 left on it, which is nothing. My monthly payments are super low, like $450, or maybe they're $513. I think it's like $513. I think I told somebody the other day it was $400, but it's $513. For my Audi Q7, I only pay $500 a month. All right. And I have $9,000 left. I really just want to pay it all off. All right. I also want to buy an electric car. Listen, newsflash, I love my Audi. I'm tired of driving it every day. I want something small. I want something that when it's just me and my 3-year-old, or just me and my teenager, or it's all three of us, that I can just roll, like just charge it. I want it electric. That's what I want right now. And not having the money to do it right now is an enemy to me. And so, see, sometimes that's the situations will arise. Who's that? Who sang that song? Not me. Okay. It wasn't me. It's somebody else. But he said, let's define audacious few, because we're going to use that throughout this book. And you're going to be like, am I the audacious few? Maybe they're not talking to me. The audacious few are visionaries. I had to go Google visionary. I literally was in the bed with my husband doing a pillow talk. All right, y'all talk to y'all mate at night before you go to bed. Well, we were laying in bed, and I was like, babe. He said, yes, babe. I don't know if he said that, but we're just say he said, yes, babe. Babe, yes, babe. Do you think I'm a visionary? Do you think you're a visionary? Don't answer my question with no question. And he was like, well, how do you define what is a visionary? I was like, I don't know. I'm asking you. He's like, so we looked up what a visionary is. And yes, I'm a visionary, okay, based on the definition. And so this book is for visionaries. Now, this is the reason I feel like I was not sure if I was a visionary, because I define a visionary as someone who knows how to carry the vision. I'm not sure I do a good job as a leader of carrying other people into my vision. Oh, I got visions, baby. But I don't feel confident that I carry others into my vision. Okay. And that was what made me double around and not be confident in that title for myself. But I am that, claiming it, visionary. And then the other one, if you're a dreamer, this book is for you. If you're a psycho competitor, baby, I'm not even sure that's a real word. It may be something he made up, but I am psycho competitive. I am competitive on a whole nother level. I am competitive that when it's Christmas time and we are making gingerbread houses, I want to judge the gingerbread houses and see who won. I'm psycho competitive. I compete in everything in my life, and I am not trying to change it. I am competing, and other people don't even know that they are my competition. It is the way that I mentally have to see things in order to stay motivated and stay pushing when I don't want to. Because I'm that person in my head is like, well, I'm sleeping. They out here trying to beat me. Now, do I get my sleep? Yes, I get my sleep. Okay. But in my thought process, like what pushes me is go to sleep, but tomorrow you're going to wake back up. Listen to your body, get the rest, but tomorrow we going at it. All right. Because if I want it, I have to have somebody who is my competitor. All right. Now I'm competing with this car note, and I'm competing with how much money I currently bring in, so that without a question, I can guilt-free go buy this electric car. Okay. Now, says choose your enemies wisely and leverage that emotion to build the right business plan. So now we know who this book is for. Let's talk about what you're going to get from this book. He's going to show us how to choose an enemy, leverage that emotion to build the right business plan. And he's learned that an effective business plan, which he's sharing with us, it's 3 things. 1, it has to be simple enough for you to want to write it. What? You don't need to go do no chat GPT to write your business plan? No. Simple for you to want to write it. 2, it must have emotion that is fueled by enemies. And 3, it must have logical steps that are clear and well organized. Now, this plan works for entry level at every level of business, he says. This plan that he's going to give us in this book is great for beginners without college degrees, just starting out in business, like somebody who's doing a side hustle. This is good for CEOs who are doing $500 million in revenue. It's good for seasoned executives who want to become intrapreneurs. Love that word. And I am really an entrepreneur at heart, which is why I prefer to jump on something that is already built and help grow it better. That's also part of my Clifton Strengths test that says, like, I am not the one person, like my strength is not working with the underdog. My strength is working with the successful person and helping them get to the next level. That's my strength. It is what it is. Okay. And it says it's for veterans straight out of the military. Thank you for your service. Anybody here a veteran? We thank you for your service. What branch of the military were you in? Drop it in the comments. Starting careers in sales or entrepreneurs. This book is for you. Sales leaders who want to grow revenue and motivate their team. This book is for me and you. Couples who work in business together and want financial and family success. This book is a great couples book for you and your hubby. All right. Choosing your enemies is the catalyst. If done correctly, it says it's going to rocket fuel that gets you going. The key to choose your enemies wisely. All right, that is just the introduction. When that introduction fire, I had spent like this whole tea on the intro. Now, what I do like is where he talks about the difference between emotional and logic. Now, I am super logical. Can you tell? If you can't tell, go back and catch some of my Tuesday teas and you'll see that I'm super logical. I don't really get into emotions that much at all. But if you're logical, it's what keeps you motivated when things aren't going the way of logic. That was a T for me. Like, what keeps me motivated when things aren't logical? Probably the need to make them logical. That's what keeps me motivated. But that was a good question for a person like me who does think logical. He says here on page 7 that what matters more, experience or drive? What matters more, logic or emotion? So emotion would be the thing that's drive. Experience would be the thing that goes with logic. So he uses those interchangeable, experience and drive and logic or emotion. He says both. He gives an example of people who have done it effectively. He says that some people who have done it effectively, when they go to that page, so I can quote it here. I thought I underlined it. Maybe I did. Maybe I was just thinking I underlined it. Let's see. On page, here he goes. Business leaders. He says that they have embraced emotion in their business. Some of the people he talks about are Elon Musk, Andy Grove, and the late Steve Jobs embraced emotions in the business. Why did they do that? They were master strategists who could channel their emotion into logical steps. This is what frustrates me with people who are emotional and don't have logic in business. It is okay. It is encouraged to be emotional, but you have to take those emotions and put them into logical steps. If you're just going off emotion about how you feel today and you don't align it with any steps, your business will be affected. T. That's the T. All right. So he does outline some things here that goes with logic and emotion. He says that the audacious few are going to do both sides. The emotion part is having vision, creating a culture, using your dreams, having a mission, having a will, not a written will, but like will and skill. Okay, all right, just a will. See the T defined here for will because I don't have that. Excuse me, written down. But then he says on the other side, for logic, you need to have a vision is the emotion side. The equal is capital. You got some money to go with this vision that you got. Okay. Then culture. You need a team if you're logical, but you need to have a culture for your team. Ooh, this is what I see happen right here is people have a team and no culture. They haven't defined, you use your emotions to define your culture. So don't just have a group of people, a team without a culture. This is having logic and emotion. Can you see how that could go wrong? You have a culture, but don't have a team. Just have a group of people over here, but they aren't working together as a team. That's how people bump heads and you're like, oh, Virgil, I hate this and I want a team. Because you haven't created a culture within the team. Then there's dreams on the emotion side, where my dreamers at, dreaming. But then on the opposite side, there are systems. I have systems. But I also dream. But I don't dream without a system for reaching the dream. Some of us are married to dreamers and they don't put anything in place to make those things come true. And then people lose confidence in you because I had this great idea. You don't put any system together to make it come to fruition. That's why both of those are required. Elon Musk with the electric car, he dreamed it. He had to put systems in place to make it come to fruition. Emotion is a mission. Logic is a plan. A system with a plan to follow. So you can have a email system, but how are you going to use that email system? That's the plan. Emotion is will. Logic is the skill. And then at the bottom, you need enemies and a little bit of competition, or a lot. Depends on you. All right. That is pretty much what I wanted to go through for the first part. Are you one of those audacious few? Are you psycho-competitive? Are you, what was the other way he described? Psycho-competitive and a visionary and a dreamer? This is the book for you. Are you way logical and you want to learn how to put more emotion into it? Are you super emotional and you need some logic and systems in place? I will see you back here next Tuesday for the Tuesday tea. I think it's cool enough now I can actually drink it. Tuesday tea with me. Next week is part 2. I'll probably break that into 2 parts. Creating the 12 blocks of your business plan. You got your hustle. You know how to market. You know what it is. You know who your target audience is. Now it's time to put it in a plan to next level it. And it talks about, it's breaking down these 12 parts. All right. So I read to you the parts. If you want to break those down, first one is enemy and competition. We're going to talk about that next week. The will and the skill. These are both talking about the emotion and logic side. And the mission and the plan. Ooh, I like it. See you back here next week for the Tuesday tea with me. And make sure you go like and subscribe because I've been doing this Tuesday tea for 4 years, y'all. Can you believe it? 4 years of books and talking about ways to level up in life with your mindset. And then it relates into growing your business. And your business may be just your family. And that's fine. You should level that up as well. So this summer, I'm going to take a break from lives, but you will be able to, I will be uploading this summer all of my Tuesday teas. So make sure you subscribe so you get a notification every time a Tuesday tea that you may have missed in my 4 years is uploaded. And I'm going to use this time to actually apply all these things I'm learning. I've been reading, taking notes, reading, sharing with you guys. But I haven't applied all this tea, and I need to apply it. All right. Love you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you some of the Tuesday tea right here with me, Christy. See you have an amazing day and stay blessed. If you want to be added to my After Tuesday Tea group, it's going to be popping this summer. Drop After Tuesday Tea and I'll add you to my group where we share things about these books and our lives and our growth and all the things. And all we need is you. Bye.